There are at least 3 ways to build most EDH decks. Strong, fun, and mean. Let's talk about the strong, fun, and mean ways that I would build Mangara, the Diplomat, and the video starts right now. Special thanks to our Patreon supporters who power our channel. Check out our Patreon for monthly giveaways, exclusive content, and even a starring role in our fan fight series. Link in the description below. Hello and welcome to the day. Thank you for spending your time with us. Welcome back to another episode of Jake and Joel Are Magic. I'm Joel. We've got a new Core 2021 commander to talk about, Mangara the Diplomat, and the strong, fun, and mean ways that I would build it. But first, if you like the video by the end of it and you want to see more videos like this, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and let me know in the comments in general that you want me to build 3 ways. Let's get into these cards. We have a lot to talk about with Mangara the Diplomat. We've got a mono white commander here that shows some actual promise. 1 white, 3 other for a 2/4 lifelinking human cleric. Whenever an opponent attacks with creatures, if 2 or more of those creatures are attacking you and or planeswalkers you control, draw a card. Whenever an opponent casts their second spell each turn, draw a card. Now there's 2 things white actually does well in Commander, and that is remove stuff and okay, they've got really good removal. What Mangara lets us do is draw some cards. That is a huge disadvantage to playing white, is card advantage, okay? If you're removing a bunch of stuff, protecting what you do play, but it just gets removed, or eventually you're going to run out of removal and they're going to keep having gas, that's a problem. Mangara the Diplomat's going to try and fix that for us. We've got 3 ways to build this in my mind. Strong, we're going to build it a removal / protection / drop a bomb and win the game. So very straightforward, strong build. The fun way that I would build it is a human soldiers tribal build. And the mean way that I would build it is staxes. That's stacks and taxes. Let's jump into the strong way. We have a ton of cards to talk about with Mangara, and so we're just going to blaze right through these. Return to Dust. First, we're going to focus on removing stuff with the white color that we've got access to, and then we're going to focus on protecting Mangara because we really want Mangara to be on the field and drawing us cards, and then we're going to look at the bombs that we can play to close this thing out. Return to Dust, one of the best artifact enchantment removal spells that you can play, doesn't need much explanation, as does this card, Sword to Plowshares. Not much explanation needed, best removal probably on any single card. Generous Gift, fantastic removal. 1 white, 2 other, destroy any permanent. That's pretty huge. It does get a 3/3, but who cares? We're destroying their problem. Austere Command, choose 2. Destroy all artifacts, destroy all enchantments, or destroy all creatures with converted mana cost 3 or less, or destroy all creatures with converted mana cost 4 or greater. Okay, we can wipe the whole board. We can pick and choose what we want to wipe. That's what we're going to be doing with this deck, is just removing the board, absolutely keeping it clear, drawing cards. Eventually we play a bomb. We're protecting that bomb. We're protecting Mangara on the way to getting our bomb, and then we're going to win the game. Now, if we're playing Austere Command, we might as well play Wrath of God, destroy all creatures straight up, 4 mana, huge. Elspeth's Sun's Champion, we've got a -3 to destroy all creatures with power 4 or greater on here, and we've also got a residual +1. Now that +1 is going to help us get towards winning the game, or it's going to allow us to block ground creatures that we're not able to remove with some of our board wipe. So let's talk about protection. I'm going to kind of sum up all of the protection cards that you can run with Darksteel Plate. It's indestructible, equip creatures indestructible, straight up. There's lots of boots and greaves and all kinds of things that can protect your commander, but Darksteel Plate kind of encompasses the entire thought process here. Let's protect Mangara on the way to getting one of our bombs, and then we eventually move our protection to that bomb and we win. You can also get some enchantment auras that give it a lot of protections as well. Avacyn, Angel of Hope, 5, 6, 7, 8 mana for an 8/8 flying Vigi. It and other permanents you control are indestructible. This is what I'm talking about with bombs. We preferably want them to have something like Trample so that they're absolutely getting through, but flying Vigi and giving everything indestructible, including itself, is pretty sick. That's what you want to be playing. Zetalpa, look at this. Flying, Double Strike, Vigi, Trample, indestructible. Put you some equipment in here, some auras that give it a little more power, and bing, bang, boom, you got the game locked up, especially if you're wiping the board. We've got indestructible on this. We had indestructible on Avacyn. Wipe the board. You don't care. Your stuff's going to survive. That's what Mangara pulls out of his bag of tricks. God Eternal Oketra, double strike when you create a creature, cast a creature, create a 4/4 creature with Vigi. Then if it dies, you just put it right back into your library and you can draw it again. God Eternal Oketra is so sick. Plus we have double strike on it. This is what I'm talking about. Is your end game. Bruna the Fading Light, you know where this is going. 7 for a 5/7. When you cast it, you can return an angel or human from your graveyard to the battlefield, flying Vigi. Then we've got Gisela the Broken Blade, 2 white, 2 other for a 4/3, first striking, flying, lifelinking, Angel Horror. At the beginning of your end step, if you own both Gisela the Broken Blade and a creature named Bruna the Fading Light, exile them, then meld them into Big Bad Mother here, Rosella, Voice of Nightmares, flying, first strike, Vigi, lifelink, can't cast spells your opponents can't, with converted mana cost 3 or less. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Let's get some big creatures on the battlefield. Chroma, Angel of Wrath, 5, 6, 7, 8 for a 6/6 flying, first strike, Vigi, trample, haste, pro red, pro black. Wow, that's some stuff. That's pretty good right there. Ray of Dawnbringer. This is a 9-cost 4/6 flyer, but at the beginning of your upkeep, you can return target creature card from your graveyard to play. This is huge. We wanted to be removing everything, stopping our opponents from doing stuff the entire game, drawing cards off of them, either attacking us or playing double spells, and then we play some bombs. Speaking of resurrection effects, let's just run resurrection. If they do happen to get any of these creatures into the graveyard, let's return it from the graveyard to the battlefield. Rhea was doing it for us. There's resurrection. There's also a surprising amount of return from the graveyard to the battlefield in white. So I'd encourage you, if you're interested in this strategy, to go and look some of those up, and you can really get a lot of redundancy running with that ability. Now, we've got bombs. How about a bomb and a board wipe combined? Martial Coup. White, white, X, put X 1/1 white soldier creature tokens into play. If X is 5 or more, destroy all creatures. This can swing a game, especially if it's late. Now, the big thing is I've been showing you a lot of very expensive cards, okay? You don't want to be sitting there with some 9-cost stuff in your hand and 6 mana on the battlefield, obviously. We want to run some mana ramp. Nyx Lotus. It is white, so we don't have access to a ton of mana ramp, but we can make it work. Get land tax going. Get Nyx Lotus going. 4 enters tapped. Tap it, choose a color, add an amount of mana of that color equal to your devotion to that color. Boom. We're adding a ton of mana. Heraldic Banner. Choose a color. Creatures that you control the chosen color get +1/+0. Add a mana of the chosen color. All right, it's a 3 mana rock. We can deal with that. Cage Sun. Double all the mana of the chosen color, and creatures you control the chosen color get +1/+1. This helps us get there in a huge way. This might even let us wipe the board and drop something like God Eternal Oketra on the same turn. So there's also this new card, and I wanted to put it in here while I was talking about mana ramp and just highlight it because it's a new card that I feel like some people haven't seen yet. Verge Rangers. This card is very good, especially in mono white. 1 white, 2 other for a first striking 3/3. You can look at the top card of your library at any time. As long as an opponent controls more lands than you, you can play lands from the top of your library. We've got a little bit of an Oracle of Moldiah ability going here on a white card, and that's just huge. That's so huge. So I know I went really fast with that, but a strong, removal, protection, bomb-based, good stuff white deck can really work with Mangara the Diplomat at the helm. Make sure you're building in some ways to protect Mangara. Make sure you're building in some ways to wipe the artifacts, enchantments, creatures off the battlefield, which white actually does pretty well. And you may be able to get there with a bomb, suit it up, get some protections on it, send it home to win the game. Now let's talk about the fun way that I would build the deck, and that's Human Soldiers Tribal. I'm going to start the tribal part of this video with a pet card of mine, Darien, King of Keldor, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. White, white, 4 for a 3/3. Whenever you're dealt damage, you can create that many 1/1 white soldier creature tokens. This was one of my early commanders. Uro the Miststalker was my very first commander, but this one really was intriguing to me early on in Commander. It just was a lot of fun to build it. Didn't realize at that point that mono white was super underpowered compared to the rest of the field, and that monocolor in general is very tough to build in Commander. But I love this card in a Human Soldier deck for sure. I've got to run it just because it's a pet card of mine. Let's get into some powerful human cards, like Thalia's Lieutenant. 1 white, 1 other. When it enters, put a +1/+1 counter on each other human you control. And after it's already on the battlefield, when a human enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on Thalia's lieutenant. Now look, whenever another human enters the battlefield under your control, this ability right here, that doesn't say non-token, that says human enters the battlefield. Okay, so we can get some tokens going. Captain of the Watch, for instance, 2 white, 4 other for a 3/3 Vigi. Other soldier creatures you control get +1/+1 and have Vigi. When Captain of the Watch enters the battlefield, put 3/1/1 soldier tokens onto the battlefield. Boom, we're going wide. We want to go wide with this build, okay? And what do we want to do when we go wide? That's build them up with anthems. Benelish Marshal. White for a 3/3 human knight. Other creatures you control get +1/+1. That's an anthem on a stick. We've also got a soldier anthem on a stick with Daru Warchief. White 2. Soldier spells cost 1 less, and soldiers you control get +1/+2. Look at that soldier. That's just a straight up soldier creature type. Why is that no other creature types? That looks like like a golem or something. I don't know, but he's going to anthem our soldiers, and that's a good thing. That's how we're going to win. Field Marshal, same thing. Other soldier creatures you control get +1/+1 and have first strike. I would encourage you to find these anthem abilities, get redundancy on those, and then find creators of soldier tokens. Find creators of human tokens. This is really where I would lay this strategy. Honor of the Pure, we had it on a stick, so why don't we put it on an enchantment? White creatures you control get +1/+1. A little bit harder to remove. It's a little stickier than a creature. That could work out. Cathar's Crusade. I feel like I put this in every tribal video, but this card is just so good. White, 3 other. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. That's why I'm encouraging you to go wide with this strategy. Get a lot of 1/1 soldiers, 1/1 humans, whatever, and then start putting anthems onto the battlefield. Cathar's Crusading, so that you can just build those tokens up more and more and more. If you played something like Martial Coup, which we looked at earlier, and it entered a bunch of tokens onto the battlefield, they're going to grow each other. You would end up with a lot of very big soldier tokens if you were able to pull something like that off. Now, if we're going wide, we want to protect the army that we're building. Okay, so Brave the Elements is going to be key here. Cards like Brave the Elements especially. Use a color. White creatures you control gain protection from the chosen color until end of turn. Blasphemous Act, protected against it. Big attack from the opponent, protected against it. You want to use this as a finisher? That's another thing you got to think about. They have a majority green field and you've got 25 soldier tokens on your side of the battlefield. Brave the Elements, give them protection from the color, and swing right through. They won't even be able to block. That can double as a finisher. Unbreakable Formation. This is another version of what I'm trying to get you to look at. This gets us around board wipes, okay, that aren't things like Massacre Worm, where it's minusing. I like that this one also has the versatility of being able to put +1/+1 counters and gaining vigilance on all of your creatures at the same time if you do cast it during your main phase. And if we want to get cute with it, we can play Mass Calcify in this deck. We're already playing sort of a board wipey, want to protect our commander general anyway. So Mass Calcify, destroy all non-white creatures. Your side of the board survives and you get to just swing through with your army. Sounds pretty dope. As I always say with these tribal sections, there's a lot of tribal cards that can apply to pretty much any tribal strategy, artifacts and such. Go seek those out. I don't cover those in the tribal sections of these just because I would end up saying like 5 to 10 cards in every single tribal part of every single video. So make sure you're on the lookout for those if you're going to build a tribal strategy. Let's jump over to the mean way that I would build this. So the mean way that I would build Mangara is a stacks and taxes kind of build. We want these like really unilateral abilities across the entire battlefield affecting everybody equally is what I mean by that. That just slows the game down, really powers it down, keeps people from doing stuff. Humility, white 2, each creature loses all abilities and is a 1/1 creature. I mean, that's pretty mean. If we can combine that with something like Honor of the Pure, suddenly our creatures are all bigger. That would be pretty sick. However, humility is something that's going to absolutely just put a chokehold on the game and slow it down. No creature abilities, no passives are going to be affecting you from creatures, and you're going to be easily able to kill almost everything on the board. Overwhelming Splendor. Here's a curse. This is another just absolute staxy taxing card. White, white, 6 for an enchant player. Creatures enchanted player controls lose all abilities and have base power and toughness 1/1, like humility. Enchanted player can't activate abilities that aren't mana abilities or loyalty abilities. Okay, so this is going to make an absolute enemy at the table. Okay, you play this, you put it on hopefully the player that everybody's ganging up on because they've run away with the game, and this will kind of like bring them back down to your level. Make sure though that you are running enough mana ramp or mana rocks, however you can get there in mono white, to be able to reliably cast an 8-cost spell. Hikori Dust Drinker. This is another one. White, white, 2. Lands don't untap during their controller's untap steps. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player untaps a land he or she controls. So you want to play this once you're ahead on board, and this will keep you ahead for a long time, especially if you've got Mangara on the battlefield drawing you extra cards if they're able to attack or if they're able to play more than one spell a turn. This is just going to be slowing the game down while you keep your hand full. You've got your removal, you're staxing, you're taxing, you're feeling super groovy. Hellish Norn, Grand Cenobite, 5, 6, 7 for a 4/7 Vigi. Other creatures you control get +2/+2. Creatures your opponents control get -2/-2. Let's spread the hate around. We're playing mono white. Nobody's taking us seriously anyway. Let's play some super powerful stuff that's going to close the game out, hopefully, and make everybody go, all right, Mangara, pretty good. That's a pretty good commander. Linvala, Keeper of Silence, white, white, 2. Flying activated abilities of creatures you control, your opponents control, can't be activated. I swear, every time I see this card, either on my side of the battlefield or their side of the battlefield, it is a race for whoever it's affecting to kill Linvala as quickly as possible. There have been games where I've seen Linvala hit the battlefield and get like a Lightning Greaves on her, and that game is over. It just locks out a ton of strategies, and she truly can be called the Keeper of Silence. Let's have everything come into play tapped on our opponent's side. Blind Obedience, okay? We're going to be able to extort the stuff that we cast, so we'll be draining each opponent, losing 1 life, and we gain that much life. That's huge. And artifacts and creatures your opponents control enter the battlefield tap. We just want them to slow down a little bit. Just slow down. Don't take everything so quickly. You know I love redundancy on effects that we're trying to achieve in our deck, and here is more of that. Thalia Heretic Cathar. White and 2 other for a first striking 3/2. Creatures and non-basic lands your opponents control enter the battlefield tapped. Slow them down. Let's slow them down. Non-creature spells cost 1 more to cast for a 2/1 first striking white and 1 other. That's another Thalia. It taxes them, okay? Now we're into the taxing phase of our staxing. Non-creature spells costing 1 more to cast, that's going to slow everything down. It is going to hit you, but that's fine. That's what we want to do. We just want to slow down the major combo decks. We want to get some resources. We want to slowly kind of deploy our bombs, build up our army, and suddenly we have this huge army that's got some indestructible. We've got some protections, blowing up everything on their side, and they're like, why is the mono white player doing well right now? Baird, Steward of Argiv. This is Ghostly Prison on a stick. White, white, 2, Vigi 2/4. Creatures can't attack you or a planeswalker you control unless their controller pays 1 for each of those creatures. It's not much, but it can start to add up as you start stacking these taxing effects on top of each other. It's really going to add up and make you a nuisance at the table. How about this? Players can't search libraries. Sorry about all you tutor. Sorry about all your fetches. Sorry about it. Leon and Arbiter, 2/2 for 2. Players can't search libraries. Any player may pay 2 for that player to ignore this effect until end of turn. That's fine. We're going to tax you. We're going to slow you down. It's a sweet little hate bear. One of our favorite little hate bears. Aura of Silence, white, white, 1. Artifact and enchantment spells cost target opponent an additional 2 to play, and we can sack it to destroy target artifact or enchantment. Now, this is an old printing of this card, so you need to be aware the new printings say your opponents. It does not target just one opponent like the wording says on this copy of the card. It is artifact and enchantment spells your opponents play cost an additional 2. It still has the same ability at the bottom though, sack it to destroy an artifact or enchantment that does get cast. Bren Wingmare, more taxing, white 2 other for a 2/1 flyer, non-creature spells cost 1 more to cast. Okay, so we're just going to keep adding on to the taxing. Here's Kataki War's Wage, 1 white, 1 other for a 2/1. All artifacts have at the beginning of your upkeep, sack this artifact unless you pay 1. opposes artifact strategies completely, and it keeps everybody with all their mana rocks running crazy across the battlefield at, you know, it keeps them at arm's length. It keeps them a little bit powered down. They've got to use some of that mana just to keep that artifact in play. Doesn't seem like a lot, but the taxes add up. I promise you people are going to call you mean for using this mean strategy. Here's a newer card from Ikoria Drannith Magistrate. Your opponents can't cast spells from anywhere other than their hands. I want to say that again. Your opponents can't cast spells from anywhere other than their hands. This shuts down commanders being played. You're going to draw some hate for playing this strategy, but this card keeps commanders off the battlefield, okay? Unless they're entering from, you know, exactly their hand. They can't even come in from the graveyard right now with this guy on the battlefield. Magistrate is awesome. I'm a huge fan of him in a Hate Bears deck. Rest in peace. Here's another one that we're just going to kind of shut off things that the opponents are trying to do. One white, one other. When it enters the battlefield, exile all cards from all graveyards. If a card or token would be put into a graveyard, exile it instead. A lot of commander decks use the graveyard as a second hand. Rest in peace is going to cut that off. Not going to get any ridiculous returns of all creatures in all graveyards to some battlefield because we've got Rest in Peace on the battlefield. We're stacking up the whole game. We're taxing the whole game. Here's another one, Containment Priest, one white, one other, flash 2/2 if a non-token creature would enter the battlefield and it wasn't cast, exile it instead. We're going to shut down cheating. No cheating in creatures against my mono white deck, okay? We've got Containment Priest. Plus it flashes so you can make a spell fizzle, which is pretty dope. Big fan of that. Grand Abolisher. Now we're into like the granddaddies of all of the stax and prison decks. White for a 2/2 during your turn. Your opponents can't cast spells or activate abilities of artifacts, creatures, or enchantments. So it's kind of like 3-cost Teferi in that your opponents can't cast spells during your turn, but they also can't activate abilities of artifacts, enchantments, or creatures. Ghostly Prison. I called Baird earlier Ghostly Prison on a stick. Here's Ghostly Prison on a Ghostly Prison. One white, two other. Creatures can't attack you unless the controller pays 2 for each creature attacking you. We're taxing them. We're staxing them. And you may be asking, all right, this is cool. We're going to draw a lot of hate. We're going right up to the line of playing, you know, Winter Orb and crap like that. How do we win, Joel? Well, let's play Approach to the Second Sun. One white, 6 other. It was cast from your hand, and you've cast another spell named Approach to the Second Sun, you win. If it's the first time you're casting it, you put it in the library 7th from the top. Really, all you don't want to happen with this card is for it to get countered the first time. You want it to resolve the first time so it goes into your library, then counter it the second time. We're going to win anyway if it was cast. I would look for some other win the game strategies straight out if you can. Make it a life gain style and use the win the game enchantment that triggers if you've won, if you have enough life. Same with Felidar Sovereign, maybe cheat that kind of thing out, gain enough life, win the game straight up, or tap into some of the bombs from the strong way to build and win that way. Mono white is not an easy way to build an EDH deck. Be warned, this is going to be a challenge going into your build of Mangara the Diplomat, but I'm super excited that mono white has a commander that actually intrigues me and I think I see some promise with. Let me know how you would build Mangara the Diplomat, and let me know below, as always, which cards I missed. I covered a ton of cards in this video, way more than a normal 3-ways video, but I was really excited to build this commander. As always, if you liked the video, hit like, hit subscribe, it really helps us out. If you want to support us further, we have a Patreon with monthly giveaways going. Go check that out and see if you're a good fit. And if you want to hang out with us, we stream on YouTube and Twitch all the time. Go find us on Twitch and hit that notification bell down there so you know when we go live on YouTube. I'm tapped out. I'll catch you later.